Hello, happy June. Judy Faust here to entertain you today. I think Kathy will join us at the next session. Today I have a series of poems that will tell stories and take you through a range of emotions. They start out up north where I used to live in Maine, New Hampshire. They range through time a little bit, and then I end with some poems from Florida. So I'm still trying to stick with the summer theme here, and I think you'll be entertained because there's a variety in this. So let's begin. This is called Greg's Fortune Cookie from 1999. At Mackworth Island with Greg, my young friend and housemate, 17, first year college, a young man whose heart dreams yoga, stern Italian eyes searching the horizon, listening to the waves breaking on the rocks. He thinks of the past few months, studying environmental science, no mystery, but his fellow students, an anathema. And then, a research ship to Woods Hole for 10 days. Greg returned, stunned. His olive complexion turned white that day, sick with shock and grief over knives sawing skulls of beautiful fish, scientists digging up vitals for human information. Greg's eyes widened like the herring, recalling the horror of the crew's hands breaking the delicate bodies, sorting the bodies like recycled trash. No heart, no soul, no road for a young yogi. His mother bade him to come home. Leave Maine, too expensive, he said. Okay, he'd return to New York State, maybe study nutrition, and live at his mother's estate. He was embarrassed to not know exactly what to do. As we climbed the orange rocks of Maine, he wondered what he'd really like to be. We heard a loud crack and looked up to see a seagull flying over our heads. It soared high with a mussel in its mouth, dropped it, dashed it to break it on a rock below. It dived down, eye to the ground, inspecting the job. The clam bounced unharmed, triumphantly closed shut. The bird picked it up again and pumped up back into the air, higher, higher, clutching the prize in its beak. He flew above us in circles, peering below. And then finally, he let it go. It cracked and opened. The seagull squawked with delight. We laughed and realized Greg's answer had just fallen from the blue, like a fortune cookie opening just right. You know what he ended up doing? He ended up being a lawyer and working in Wyoming, which is funny for a New Englander like that. Okay, Miracle of the North Country, 1978. One of my favorite things was to hang out in breakfast cafes and watch the townies. Because I'm from Hartford, Connecticut, a little more of a city girl. And going up to New Hampshire, where people still talk like this, you know, the old timers, I was fascinated. It was like being in a different country. And it was different than what it looks like now. So I watched this woman, and it's called A Miracle of the North Country. She sits with her thighs apart. Sorry, that came out like Boston. She sits with her thighs apart in the blueberry muffin, her huge presence illuminating the corner, her yellow t-shirt and red smock clashing with the blue-checked wallpaper. The old woman grabs her coffee mug with knobby fingers and with one swoop takes a gulp and then a mouthful of muffin. There's something about those flapping, toothless jaws, a strength that retains itself. though the structure has broken down. There's something about those falcon eyes, narrow but framed with wrinkles of understanding. She is a miracle of North Country ignorance and woodland wisdom. Thus thought the tourist. All right, let's go back to Connecticut for a moment. Summertime, I'm about 18. I don't remember where I was going, but this is called Stranger in Suburbia. I was walking through Paradise Suburbia, past ranch boxes and limed green lawns, past antennas, TV, and housewives in curlers, and chained dogs that barked twice and yawned. I am a vagabond. Strange scenery to those sun-shaded eyes of men mowing. Bare feet, black with asphalt. I am only longing for the breeze to move the heat. I've always enjoyed walking in the nature and philosophizing from there. This one is called At Nepoug Reservoir, Collinsville, Connecticut, 1974. I am a bird, crying and hawking, flying branch to branch, searching for something that answers in the gentle lap of the lake water. I become a grasshopper, leaping up, bounding with joy and sorrow. It springs my feet into running, brushing past the pine needles. And then I become the wind, but I can't sing loud enough, can't leap far enough, can't stop circling back to the earth, content with all that is longing. There was a waterfall in Connecticut that I used to love to visit in the 70s as I was doing a lot of meditation. I'd like to perch myself up above the top of the waterfall and, So this one is called Answers. The inner ear knows, rush of river, hush of growth. Still before toppling streams, calm before restless dreams. Deep within us, answers sleep, while our anxious egos weep. This one, actually wrote it to my friend in Maine. It's called Walk the Edge. Narrow down the vision, hunt down the sound, until we stand on the thin line of the great abyss. Look, there is the blackness of self-pity. Peer bravely into its beckoning pool and you'll see the face of Narcissus. Bathe in its tepid waters, and the fingers of your able hands shrivel up to nothing. Wash your face in the tears, but you'll be caught in fear's mire. Or choose to explore beyond the ridge that temporarily hides a different view, where sunlight bathes the biggest boulder, where wind and rain crumble rock to dust again, where spirit carries seeds of desire and plants our love in unsurprising places, where you find yourself serenely reflected in everything you see, where the only solid ground is God, and self is never alone, nor disconnected from its loving source. Come, let's walk the edge of this abyss. Let friendship steer us. Let no fears veer us away from our heart's one goal. Okay, and jumping through time, 2006. This one's called Larger Than the Ocean. My first visit back to Crescent Beach in Maine, after 6 years of an unhappy marriage. I am strolling free under a blue June sky, accompanied by the purr of the ocean. I climb easily onto pink and orange garnet boulders. Nature's sculpture galleries, striped and hewn, rusty, or covered with black seaweed hair and colonies of barnacles. The land points in every direction, yet my feet know the way. They are taking me to a pilgrimage, where the beach bleeds with the rose dust of garnet stones. Ah, my old friend, do you remember this place? 10 years ago, maybe to this very day, we played like children in this mysterious sand, where the smooth gray pebbles and stones are strewn in paths made by Maine's harsh breath of winter, heaved up and laid down by icy seas, broken, dashed, and split from cliffs now. They lie like ruins. Why has my heart craved this path and this sight? Exactly then my eyes spy a perfect heartstone, polished by nature. Aha! It is he I am seeking. It is he, that creator, who is and has been my goal of my pilgrimage, even as I loved my friend. Holding the perfect petal, holding the perfect pebble, sitting on the cliff in meditation, I just want you to know, old friend, it isn't about that girl who had the crush on her favorite friend. No, it was larger than that, larger than the ocean. All right. Okay, how about taking a summer trip all the way across the United States to San Diego, where there was an animal in a cage that fascinated me. I drew it, and then later I wrote this poem. The Colobus Monkey, San Diego Zoo, 1980. The Colobus Monkey hangs onto its cage and sadly stares at the world outside. His long black fingers curl around the wire bars. He cranes his neck occasionally to get a better view, but he has given up much of his curiosity in return for boredom. It wasn't his idea to be put in this cage, so we could see the beauty of this monkey. Does he still remember that he was born 200 feet above the ground in the canopy forests of Africa? Oh, what use now of his long, silky white furs around his elastic body, the tragedy of his unused virtues. And remind me of us who have caged our creative gifts in our fears and our ignorance. There we go. Let's go to Florida. I tried several poems on this subject. Don't worry, I'm only going to read you one of them about this one. You know, it's so beautiful to walk along the shore, beautiful sunny day in Florida, and the ocean is roaring and washing the waves over various things, pebbles, and they look like little gems and seashore things. And people are always picking up all these things. Sometimes there's beaches with hardly anything left on them, actually. And when I first moved to Florida, I did what everybody else did. And then I learned something and I changed my mind. So I wrote a little poem about it. This is called Florida Jewels. Look at that path of pebbles strewn along the white sand beach like a carpet before a king and queen. I have no desire to pack those gems into plastic bags. I know they will lose their luster, and we will lose our royalty should we stoop to pick them up. Oh, this one. I actually dated somebody in 1979 who was a sailor, and he was in this tournament, and so this is the day I went to watch him at Old Orchard Beach in Maine. Launching of the sailboats, Old Orchard Beach, 1979. The sails are arched and ask for the wind. 4 people run forward and push the boat out. The runners meet the first waves, the sails slip behind the second. He leaps aboard and he is off with that wind, his steady mate. Mind over water, brown skin, black wetsuit, long shadow lost in ocean teeming sunlight. Air full of boats, blossoming rainbow colors, bright ballooned lovers, dogs and admirers anchored on the shore, sprouting in the sand, waving to the sailors like dune grass. All right, another one. Observing kids in Maine at the seashore. It's called Kids and Castles. How children at the seashore sparkle with innocence, faith, and hope. Their tiny hands digging holes, walls, tunnels, busily scraping the sand, patting together tall castles and sacred caves. Oblivious children to the greedy green and white fingers of the waves, who slowly sneak, curling round to reach their laborious work. Crawling low, stretching, barely touching, roaring threats, then recoiling, sighing and withdrawing. All the while oblivious children, heedless of their sunburnt backs, of adults' feet rushing past, of the waves waiting till the last child has gone, when they will feast upon those sand-built dreams. All right, this is a little funny little drama. Let me see. Drama, get myself in a good position here. Okay. So, this is called Sandwich Thief. A funny thing happened in Florida. And this is the story. Anxious to end my 4-day fast, I stood before a snack stand in St. Pete Beach, Florida. It was 4 p.m., feeding time. I was oblivious to the flocks of seagulls gathered around the huge trash can, pecking for tourist crumbs. The aroma of hamburgers, French fries, and cold ocean air brought me to the menu. Erasing my efforts to purify my body was one problem. Only a few coins in my jeans was the other. I chose the least poisonous and inexpensive, my brain broadcasting one message: I'm hungry! Salivating at the sight of the white bread frying in butter to a crisp and gooey bright orange cheese melting on the grill. I watched impatiently as the cook flipped it over and waited for perfection. The golden opportunity had finally arrived. As I held up the whole sandwich with 2 hands, I closed my eyes in gratitude. And opened my mouth wide in anticipation. But suddenly I was holding on to nothing. I blinked my unbelieving eyes open just in time to see 2 yellow, webbed feet dive down from beneath my head and snatch my sandwich. My mouth gaped in amazement as my ethereal cheese dream dangled and flapped in the wind as seagull and sandwich flew into the blue sky far, far away. By now, A crowd of tourists paying for their food and the admiring seagulls getting a good idea watched me shout at the thief, "Ah! Why don't you go fishing?" That's it for today. Please give us some feedback. And here's the link. Have a great summer.